We get an ET Now special, and that too with the largest fashion e-commerce player in the country, Myntra, part of Flipkart. Joining us to talk about how fashion and fashion e-commerce did in particular during the second wave of the coronavirus is the Chief Business Officer at Myntra, Ayyappan Rajagopal. Thanks so much for joining us here on ET Now. Appreciate you taking the time out. My first question to you is, retail therapy, was it really a thing during the second wave of COVID-19? The second wave was far deadlier. It was also at a time when we've seen, for example, inflation, more uncertainty that came in. How was the second wave for Myntra?
Yeah, firstly, thanks, Nayantara, for having me part of the show. Your question is very valid. I think the second wave was definitely much deadlier than the first one. The initial few months definitely gave a lot of jolt to the industry because most of these fashion categories are not part of indispensable sort of businesses. So definitely there was a slowness to start with. But what we have possibly started seeing in the last 2-3 months is that a definite increased shopping intent, giving a lot of confidence to the fashion ecosystem of a positive outlook in the months to come. Because last 30-45 days especially has been pretty good. It's definitely not the way it started with, but it's going good, I would say now.
So it didn't start off well, but it's going good. What is that supposed to mean? Because I remember during the first lockdown, I'm talking about 2020, a lot of your growth actually came from the smaller towns. But this time you've seen coronavirus also now hit rural parts. It's hit the smaller towns as well. So how have you been able to even, first of all, sustain the numbers that you saw before the second wave?
Yeah. So last time, I think the difference is that in the first wave, there was a lot of national level calls and the entire country was kind of shut. So there were no initial places to actually shop on for the consumers. Then when it started opening up in the red, green and the orange zones that the country had, we started seeing the demand coming from tier 2 and tier 3 markets. The difference, however, this time is that I think there was a lot of ambiguity last time, and hence because of that, there were a lot of national level calls. This time, most of the decisions and calls taken were at the state level. So if you look at it, initially there was Delhi, which was not doing well. Then there was Maharashtra along with it. Then it started moving south. So the good thing for e-commerce as a platform is that since we cater to all the different geographies, there was some part of geography always operating. And the markets there started seeing a very good upswing because people knew that the safest way to shop is to continue doing on the e-commerce platforms, and hence the needs continued from that perspective.
Right.
Also, one more difference I would say, if I could add on, is that the kind of categories that started seeing this time, while definitely there was need state on the indispensable categories, but a lot of relevant need states that started getting addressed as well. Last time, beauty and personal care was definitely not on consumers' mind, but this time it was one of the top of the mind categories. Saris never featured there, but people have started shopping saris. So that's the sort of difference we have started seeing between the first wave and the second wave. Second wave, while it was very deadly, like you rightly pointed out, but it was confined to certain regions to start with, and it kept moving around.
Right. But okay, so you're saying that people are buying more beauty and personal care items. They're willing to even buy saris on Myntra, something you didn't see in 2020 in the first wave of COVID-19. But the question I've also got to ask you is, are you seeing larger shopping carts this time? Because it's difficult to believe that people are buying fashion goods, right? So have you had to innovate and launch new products just to have skin in the game, just to see some kind of growth?
That's a very good question. Yeah, I think the change is the name of the game, especially when it comes to e-commerce, because the way we understand data, we understand the insights on what consumers are trying to browse and shop. It's out there, right? So we don't need to actually wait for it. So the trend we started seeing are definitely with respect to the lingerie and loungewear categories, which are definitely indispensable in any consumer's wardrobe. So that continued to scale up during this period. Second, like I pointed out, beauty and personal care saw a surprising uplift during the last 2-3 months. So that is another portfolio where we saw things moving up. Sari is definitely not one of the first need state that comes to mind when people think about Myntra. Myntra is known for a lot more from the Western wear point of view. Sari was a huge revelation. There are like 7x jump that we have started seeing in the first time users when it comes to saris. Kids portfolio is another place where people have not cut down the spends because kids are growing up and they need to buy a new apparel and new footwear for them. So definitely that's another space we have seen. Another point I would say is that we are right in the middle of the wedding season. So a lot of purchases that we are seeing from consumers, both on men and women's side, are to do with the wedding purchases as well. While it's still a shorter sort of an affair for the consumers, but still the need state exists for them to come and shop on board. So these are 4 or 5 things I would put it as where we had to innovate with respect to the selection and the kind of merchandise we bring for the consumers.
Okay. Ayyappan, tell me something. Your parent company, Flipkart, is no secret, is planning an IPO. I don't know if the directive has come to Myntra to be, careful, to not splurge. But just to stay relevant, just to see growth, has Myntra, had to work with brands to make sure that there are big discounts that are offered, cashbacks, all of that, just so that users keep coming back?
See, I think the Uber point is like, especially in these kind of different times, how do you ensure the existing customer stickiness goes up so that they continue to increase the share of wallet when they come to our platform? The second point is on getting the new customers, right? Both these have been built with the foundation of getting the right kind of brand and selection. So if you look at it in the last 12 months, to your question, what we have done is we've also started bringing the offline stores directly on Myntra, right? So if you go to a mall or to an high street fashion shop, whatever you find there, that's the same store we have actually started getting there. So in the last 12 months, we have 2,000 offline stores integrated. So through this, you can very clearly understand that the offline network is also having a place to actually offer their merchandise. And since we are a complete marketplace, it's the entire selection, pricing, everything is being taken care by the sellers and the brand partners. And with a good sort of data and insights that we could provide, they exactly know what price points and where they need to take a bet on. Through that, we have been able to acquire a lot more new customers. And end of the day, that's the only thing that matters, I believe.
So you don't think customers need to be lured with discounts, cashback schemes, all such things? Because inflation is also a reality. The pain from coronavirus is a reality.
See, if you are able to focus on the right need states and you understand that this is what consumers are coming for, I think rest all becomes the secondary sort of use cases. So if people know that this is the right place for me to shop, it's the overall experience I'm going to get. It's very reliable. It's very safe. It's trustworthy. These are the first set of things that any customers would care for. The other aspects could be an add-on, but it's definitely not the deal breaker for a consumer when they come to any platform to shop.
You told me that you're seeing an uptick as far as wedding wear goes, both for men and women. I've got to ask you this question, because the times that we are in North, of course, those big fat Indian weddings are not possible. But are these brides and grooms who are shopping, or are as part of those that make it to the 50 people only invites list?
It's both the lots, actually. It's actually 3 use cases. One is the bride and groom, of course. That's very clear from the kind of selling price, the average prices that consumers shop for. It's very clear because people don't cut down on when it comes to their weddings, right? The second also is their relatives and the near and dear ones. There we see a lot more like suits and kurtas and jackets and blazers. So these categories are also doing really well, and heavy ethnic sari wear and all of that. Also, it's the gifting, right? So along with the wedding, it's always a lot to do with the gifting as well. There are different traditions that exist both in North and South. So whoever comes to the wedding, they have to gift. And also of late, the invites, when people send, also they actually send gifts. So as part of that, we see a lot of merchandise going into that as well. So to your question, it's not just the people who are getting married, but also the near and dear ones, because everybody is looking for use cases where they can actually shop and get their moods uplifted in these tough times.
While a lot of your growth, I understand, last year came from the Tier 2 and Tier 3 markets, is that the case this year? And what about repeat orders, repeat customers, are they the ones who have made business sustainable, or has a lot of the game been getting first-time users on board?
Yeah, I think last season or the last year, if you look at it, it was a lot more. The story was built around the tier 2, tier 3 customers, but also was on the repeat audience and the kind of basket sizes they were shopping, right? The number of items they purchase in a single transaction. This time, especially in the last 2-3 months, we have seen a very heightened first-time users on the platform, right? Even on categories which we've never seen first-time user shopping that. Yes, we always know that the customers shop for these need states and categories and businesses, but we never know that will be the first purchase they make on Myntra, right? For example, smartwatches, right? We have like 9 times more users shopping smartwatches the first transaction itself. Headphones, for example, 2 times more users. Shampoos again 2 times. Lipsticks 4 times, right? Like 3-4 months back, people were saying that, lipsticks are not doing well. But in the last 2 months, we have seen a very huge surge on lipstick as a category. Apart from that, definitely the stay-at-home categories, the kids categories are also doing well. And that's another place where we have started seeing again 2 times first-time users, 3 times first-time users and all of that. But overall story is very clearly this time on a lot more users coming to the platform and trying it for the first time because they know it's a safest place to shop and they know everything, whatever they are asking for is available out here.
Okay, so it's the first-time users, and I do understand most of them are coming on the app and not the desktop. That is what we were told. And we've also been told that where the trend is contrarian about the smaller cities and big cities is when it comes to loungewear and lingerie. That 60% of the demand is primarily from the bigger cities. That's quite interesting.
That's right. Yeah. So the demand, if you look at it, it is a lot more coming from metro and tier 1 when we specifically speak about loungewear and lingerie. While we have also seen the increased demand from tier 2, tier 3, but definitely the higher contribution is coming from here. Maybe because of 2 reasons. One, the propensity for consumers to actually cut down spend, even at this point of time, doesn't exist in metro and T1. So this is a place where they are replenishing their wardrobe and they're continuing to go the way they used to earlier. That's one. Second, the kind of selection we offer, if you look at it, right, whether it's Dressberry, Marks and Spencer, Triumph and Armour, Amante, La Senza, all these are very, very well known in metro and tier 1 sort of markets. So when other modes of shopping got shut down, they were looking for their most loved brands and favorite brands to be shopped from these places because the size and fit is going to be the single biggest element when it comes to lingerie. People don't want to try a lot of new brands. They need to be very comfortable in what they wear. And hence these brands are the lifeline for them when they sit at home. And hence it made a lot of sense for these customers to come on board during these times. And yes, because of that, like what you spoke about, 60% of the demand is from metro and tier 1 for these categories especially.
So as we wind down the interview, tell me something. What's going to be the focus of Myntra going forward? The case that you're basically making is it's the first-time users that have come to the rescue of Myntra during the second wave, that you're bouncing back thanks to categories like personal beauty care and kids. I take that point. Going forward, what's the focus?
Yeah, the first and foremost safety of all the entities involved, whether it's employees or the customers we serve, logistics, partners, brand partners, everyone, and ensure that everybody is coming out of this safely. That's the most important paramount thing for us. When it comes to business, 2 factors. The users who have come now for the first time, how do we ensure they keep repeating on the platform? And what's the kind of need state we need to serve to them from that aspect? So that's one. Second, how do we ensure that they shop different categories? Because gone are the days where Myntra was known only for apparel and footwear. Today, if you look at it, we serve across the need states. We are like a lifestyle destination, and hence the categories like beauty and personal care, home, toys, all these are the other add-on portfolios which we believe is going to be very, very important. That's second. Third, for getting consumers back to the shopping cart, I don't think you need to look at only as a commerce as a destination. You need to have content integrated in the right way as well. So if you look at it, the Myntra studio that we have, through which the content creators actually post content of using them, the products and services and stuff like that on Myntra app, ensures the engagement on the app continues to go up. So these three will be the biggest elements. From the consumer point of view, the 18 to 25 age group is going to be one of the most important age groups, and that we have already seen on the platform scaling up in a big way. So from the consumer point of view, that's one TG we'll be going very aggressively to be lured into the platform.
Festive season, I understand it's a couple of months away. Plans for that, or too early? Give us a sneak peek.
Yeah, in a few weeks from now, we'll have our largest flagship sale going very soon, which is our end of season sale, which is one of the most sought after fashion sales of the country. Follow it up with the wedding season. It will continue for a little more time. So that demand will continue to exist. The moment that's done, I think starting with October, the single largest season for retail shopping mania will start, of course, with our festive plans as well. So these three, I think, would be the three strong pillars for the next few quarters for us from the merchandise and sales point of view.
With that, we'd like to thank you for talking to us here at ET Now. That's Myntra for you, decoding the shopping trends that we've seen and a sneak peek of what's likely to happen over the next couple of weeks and months.
Thank you.